Story 1. Regulatory and compliance work, especially in finance, healthcare, and technology. Everyone dislikes it, but that is why it pays so well. Rules exist everywhere, and someone has to ensure companies do not get fined or sued. It is boring to some, but it provides steady income if you prefer structure. Story 2. I work in a mortuary and funeral home. People die there regularly. Story 3. Some of these suggestions should carry a warning. Yeah, but you will be physically fucked by 50 because of it. Story 4. I work in wastewater. I probably have one of the most stable jobs in the United States, or at least I'm on the list. Story 5. The construction industry has been steady. I know it looks like the economy is struggling, and I do not know where some people are getting the money, but I have never been short of work or a paycheck in the 25 years I have worked with a general contractor. There is always something being built, renovated, or improved, particularly in the medical sector. Story 6. Power engineering is booming. Generation, transmission, substations, protection and control, and distribution are all experiencing strong growth. Everyone needs energy, and the world is becoming increasingly dependent on it. Story 7. Enter heating, ventilation, and air conditioning for data center cooling. Work as an electrician specializing in wiring for data center power systems. You will earn a high income. Story 8. I earned $100,000 a year climbing cell towers. There is virtually no barrier to entry because few people are willing to do it. It is relatively quick to get certified, and there is almost always work available. During the pandemic, I did not work any fewer hours than normal. It is difficult work with little work-life balance, but it is one of the most stable careers I know. Story 9. Being a biomedical equipment technician is a career that most people who enter stay in. You typically need an associate's degree in electrical engineering technology. The pay is decent, and very few people know about the field. Story 10. Cleaning. People and companies often need cleaners, especially during the pandemic, and demand is high for those who specialize in making hand sanitizers and other commonly used cleaning products. Story 11. An aircraft mechanic is a great career that pays well. Training can be completed in a 2-year school program, and in some cases in a year and a half. You work long hours, so it helps to be self-motivated and focused on earning. Many employers schedule 4 10-hour days, providing a 3-day weekend, with ample overtime opportunities. Story 12. I am an accountant and was making $180,000 in my 4th year of work. Story 13. Diagnostic medical imaging includes nuclear medicine, ultrasound, computed tomography scans, and magnetic resonance imaging. Do your research and attend a program accredited by the Commission on Accreditation of Allied Health Education Programs. Many entry-level roles require only an associate degree. Check accredited programs in your area. Story 14. The best thing to do is become very good at a role that many industries need, such as reception, scheduling, accounting, inventory management, purchasing, data entry and analysis, case management, and so on. Then you can narrow it down based on your hobbies, interests, or what is available in your area. Story 15. Garbage collection. The owner of my local company drives a Porsche while I am still paying off student loans. The business does not lie. Story 16. I work in a warehouse doing ludicrously easy work and make $22 an hour, which in my area is far above the cost of living. There is also as much overtime as I want. Whenever I get bored, I switch to one of the other 12 factories or warehouses to try them out. Story 17. Mobile pet grooming. I live in a high cost of living area. I make about $150,000 per year, working only 4 days. I take 1 month of vacation per year. Story 18. I have a client-facing role in commercial banking. Everyone knows that directors and investment bankers earn large salaries, but I am in my early 30s, clearing $185,000 after bonus, plus a full pension and benefits this year in a mid-cost of living area. Many back-office roles are at risk of being replaced by artificial intelligence, but business owners prefer dealing with people face-to-face. If you are in a client-facing role and have some sales ability which is not difficult to develop, your position is likely secure. Story 19. Stenographer. Private, heavy litigation depositions, not courtrooms. Unbelievable money. Story 20. I am not even sure of the name of the career. My guess would be zoogeneticist. It involves genetically managing and creating livestock for large corporations. They pay really well for genetically selected animal samples. Researching it is interesting but not as lucrative. Story 21. Elevator careers are always hiring, lucrative, and technical. Opportunities include sales for new construction or existing buildings, maintenance for servicing and repair, and field labor. These positions often have a strong union and great benefits. Story 22. A lot of infrastructure is close to or past its use-by date, but there is currently not enough money to pay for replacements and repairs. Soon there will be no choice but to carry out that work. Story 23. Education provides stability. You are not likely to earn a huge salary, but it cannot be beaten for stability. I cannot be fired unless I make a major error, and I receive a steady paycheck for the rest of my life because of a pension. Reliable income allows saving and earning compound interest. Story 24. Pain management. The customer base is everyone and the need is ongoing. Story 25. Airline pilot. My brother switched from a Canadian airline to United Parcel Service. He makes over $320,000 per year and saves a lot of money because his meals and accommodations while working are paid for. He gets free flights for holidays, good benefits, and artificial intelligence may make his job easier but will not replace him because the United States is unlikely to allow planes to be flown without a pilot on board. He also has the option to make more money in the Middle East or fly wealthy people on private jets. I earned my Master of Business Administration and ended up in a sales executive role making less than half of what he does. Story 26. Special education. Services for individuals with autism. Speech-language pathology. Physical therapy. Cosmetology can be lucrative. Accounting. Real estate appraisal. Story 27. Machine operator and shift lead in the food industry. There will always be a need for food, and at 25 I am already in the top 7% of income earners in my country, Germany, so that's not bad. Story 28. Everyone talks about technology, but specialized trades often get overlooked. Plumbing and electrical work, especially commercial contracts, are very stable and can pay well once you are established. What hidden gems are there? Story 29. Commercial facilities management. Every building needs someone to manage it. Story 30. In the food processing industry, it is almost impossible to be dismissed. Story 31. I handled gas station service calls. Before I took the job, I do not recall ever seeing anyone fix gas stations, but obviously someone does. I will not lie. I did not love the job, but I never had to worry about hours or about not working during the COVID-19 pandemic. Even if you do not stick with it, you will pick up knowledge related to other trades. Emergency services, hospitals, and military bases all need that expertise, and in the worst case, you can transfer the knowledge to another trade. You will always have useful skills for holding a job. Story 32. Insurance agent and claims adjuster. There are always car accidents, storms, fires, and floods. Story 33. Honestly, trades like plumbing and electrical work are very stable and pay very well. Most people do not realize that. Story 34. Logistics. Everything moves through it and nobody talks about it. Story 35. Amish and Mennonites are raking it in with pumpkins. We bought some to carve that we probably could have walked down the road and picked ourselves. Story 36. The profit margin on virtual private network services is enormous, and it is a relatively inexpensive business to enter, although it is not cheap for a solopreneur. Story 37. Racketeering has become a real profession thanks to the Republican Party. Story 38. Cobblers are often laughed at, but they are one of those businesses that will never be irrelevant. Story 39. Construction has earned 6 figures annually for the last 10 years and reached 7 figures this year. No slowdown in sight. The only dip occurred during the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic. Story 40. Research administration is a career I stumbled into after working in finance and accounting for years. It began when my manager was promoted out of the department and I suddenly found myself in charge of submitting proposals to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, the National Science Foundation, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the National Institutes of Health, and other agencies. It is a fascinating, highly skilled, and complex field that most people do not know about. For context, I found a great advancement job twice in 8 years simply by applying to one position and interviewing once each time. Story 41. Pornography, obviously. Grift is right up there. It has its ups and downs. Story 42. Owning a business is worthwhile if you can make it sustainable. Story 43. Selling popcorn requires hustle, but the profit margins must be large. Story 44. Merchant mariners, especially those who want to live in a less expensive country and sail on United States-flagged ships. Story 45. Utility work. I've been on the electrical side for 18 years and it has been pretty recession-proof. Story 46. Pharmaceutical section. Overall health is disappearing in the age of consumerism. Story 47. In the beauty industry, such as nails, eyebrows, and eyelashes, you can make a lot of money in a day if you're good at it. Story 48. According to the person who sprayed my apartment for fleas, bedbug remediation is required. Story 49. Wastewater treatment is a job few people think about, but every one of us is a customer for life. Story 50. First, do something you enjoy. Skilled healthcare jobs cannot be outsourced. Advanced nursing and related roles are often covered by government programs. Story 51. I have a good friend who dropped out of college to become an electrician. We used to make fun of him and tell him he was making a huge mistake by not getting a degree. He switched to general contracting in his late 20s. He earns at least twice what I earn and has no student loans. He showed me his work queue once. He is always booked 4 to 5 weeks in advance. He works very hard, is his own boss, and will be able to retire in his mid-40s. Story 52. Education. If you can get an in-demand certification and work in a state that pays well. Special education and English as a second language are two specializations that will always have positions available due to shortages. If you find a school district that offers reimbursements for continuing education, you can earn your first master's degree and then take easier classes and programs until you reach a master's degree plus 75 graduate credits. Add some coaching responsibilities and you can make close to or reach 6 figures in my district within 6 to 8 years of starting. The only caveat is that the current administration is reducing special education and English as a second language support, but my state has laws mandating these services and is filling many of the gaps for now. Story 53. Being a veterinarian requires schooling, but most people treat their pets like family and will pay to help their pets feel better. I know this. I just returned from the veterinarian with my senior pug. Pet insurance is also becoming more popular. Story 54. Magician, up to $300 per hour. It only works because I am human, so no robots or artificial intelligence are involved. Story 55. Fundraising. You can make a lot of money if you can help others make a lot of money. Story 56. Plumbing and pipe fitting. Endless supply of work. Also, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Story 57. School janitor. Nobody really cares what you do as long as you show up. Story 58. Public safety, specifically 911. They will not ever be replaced with artificial intelligence or robots because the work requires the human touch. The public would not accept calling 911 and speaking to an interactive voice response system. It does not require a degree to get in the door. The biggest hurdle for most people is that a clean record is required due to federal rules about accessing certain databases you will need to use to do the job. Pay varies by area, and schedules can be difficult. Expect to work 12-hour days. The work can be very interesting. Story 59. Heavy highway construction requires infrastructure replacement, so there is no slowdown in sight. Wages are based on union rates whether you are union or not, so there is little negotiation beyond choosing a pay scale. Entering the industry as a laborer will likely pay 1.5 to 2 times what you would earn in residential or commercial construction. It is hard work, but I have seen high school dropouts work 60-hour weeks all year and earn $100,000, which is remarkable. It is a lot of hours, but few jobs offer that earnings opportunity. Story 60. Civil engineering for public infrastructure is a very stable career. Story 61. The semiconductor industry is currently valued at $600 billion and is projected to reach $1 trillion by 2030. Story 62. Forget hype jobs. Plumbing and logistics quietly provide steady paychecks. Story 63. I work in industrial coatings. I earned my first six-figure year at age 21. I started on a coating crew for new construction pipeline projects. Oil was over $100 per barrel when I began. As oil prices fell and pipeline work became cyclical, I branched out into other areas such as water, bridges, nuclear projects, pipeline maintenance, and marine work. I now perform coating and welding inspections, provide consulting, and manage projects for a coating contractor. It can be long hours, but it pays well and it is enjoyable. I stayed busy throughout coronavirus disease 2019 because infrastructure projects were considered high priority. Story 64. Funeral homes remain busy because death never takes a vacation. Story 65. Insurance and benefit sales. If you get in, they will provide all the training, extensive and ongoing. They will give you the systems, leads, and tools. You will work very hard for years. If you stay with it and build a book of business, you will earn growing, substantial renewal income. Story 66. Skilled trades, especially unionized trades, pay very well and are always needed to build, repair, and maintain things. My cousin worked for a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning company that the owner sold to him when he retired. He earned 7 figures in the first year. Story 67. Landscaping. My buddy and his father runs a small landscaping company, and they are wealthy. His father owns it outright and has about $10 million saved. Owning your own business in the United States is the best path to financial freedom, but most people cannot make it work. Story 68. Trade jobs such as plumbers, electricians, and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning technicians offer reliable income and far less drama than a Wall Street meltdown. Story 69. Industrial sales, inside and outside. Working for an established manufacturer as a local representative, even within a global company, can be stable and lucrative. If you have a customer-facing personality and some technical aptitude, working for a private company in this industry can also be very profitable if you play your cards right. Story 70. Logistics. If trucks stop moving, the entire world collapses in about 48 hours. The stability is unreal. Story 71. Corporate strategy. One of the many things we do is analyze layoffs and outsourcing. I certainly do not highlight headcount reduction opportunities in my own team. Story 72. Nuclear submarine and aircraft carrier construction, refurbishment, and nuclear field services on commercial reactors. Related roles include radiation protection specialists, technicians, engineers, and project managers. Story 73. The starting salary of a construction manager is higher than that of their college professors. Story 74. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning technicians are often seen as blue-collar workers, but skilled professionals can make a solid living and consistently find work because everyone needs heating or cooling at some point. It is one of those careers that will never go out of demand. Story 75. Law enforcement. 6 years in, and base salary with holiday pay is $125,000. MCOL. For 10-hour shifts. Great benefits. I'll make almost $140,000 this year. Story 76. There are many jobs in the mining industry that pay very well. Story 77. I am a maintenance worker at a parking garage. It is the most stable job I have ever had. The pay is not amazing, but it is enough. I get regular hours and full benefits. It is pretty nice, aside from occasional incidents of someone soiling the floor. Story 78. Anything to do with weddings, including venues, decor, rentals, catering, planning, hair and makeup, flowers, disc jockeys, bands, and more. Story 79. I read that proctology is quite a lucrative bottom-line profession. Story 80. Operations engineering is not as glamorous as product design or project engineering, but supporting installed and running equipment is remarkably stable. It may not be highly lucrative, but there is never a shortage of work. Story 81. A United States naval officer midway through a career earns $165,000 per year. Half of this income is tax-free. Healthcare is provided at no cost. Childcare is heavily subsidized. There are excellent education benefits and absolute job security. Simply show up on time, maintain a good attitude, take things in stride, and do not commit a felony, and you will be well positioned. Story 82. Insurance touches every industry. When one sector is down, another may be up. When both are down, businesses still make buying decisions, and when both are up, there are even more decisions to be made. I cringed when someone mentioned commercial insurance after I graduated college, but it has been an amazing industry to be involved in. Story 83. I have not seen it yet, but fire departments, police departments, and emergency medical services exist. The pay may be poor, and the work hours and abuse may be significant, but every city and county in the world has some form of these services. Story 84. Blue-collar trades like plumbing and electrical work are gold mines. Everyone wants a quick fix, but no one wants to get their hands dirty, making these skills far more valuable than most people realize. Story 85. Is it stable? The United States Postal Service. With 10 or more years of experience and access to overtime, the job can pay a six-figure salary. Story 86. Teaching typically requires advanced degrees and several years of experience. Pay is relatively low during the first 5 years, but it increases significantly after that, and teachers receive decent retirement and other benefits. The idea that teachers are poor is largely a myth, especially in metropolitan areas. Story 87. My neighbor carpenter owns his house outright and has a cabin in the woods. I dislike technology. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.